What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Loot Chest on TC Loot Gaming Show, where we talk about a random topic in gaming. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And I'm Kris.
And a quick reminder to play Grim Dawn and Life is Strange and Killing Floor 2. Offer free on PlayStation Plus, aside from Grim Dawn. That's our game of the month. Make sure to play that. But also make sure to play the other two games. And at the end of the month, we'll be talking about them. Let us know your opinions on them. We'll let you know ours. But with that... So we covered a lot of shit last week on E3. We got about 5 hours of opinions and discussion over all of that. Make sure to go back and check that out. But this week we're going to be talking about general, what's the word I'm looking for?
Disappointment.
Disappointment. That's the word. Thank you. General disappointments of E3. We all kind of feel that across the board was a pretty strong E3. Nothing was too fucking surprising or awesome, but it was good across the board. But there was a couple things that kind of were left missing, I feel. And so with that, we're going to be talking about it. I think we all have about 3 things to talk about a piece. So with that, who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So, I'm a big fan of hack and slash games, and I was really disappointed because it's been in the works for a while. It was announced last year in December that they were making a new Dynasty Warriors game, and there was nothing there at E3. Nothing. I was really disappointed because the concept of the new one is it's an open world game. So I'd like to see more information on that. Obviously, it's going to be the same story. It's going to have the same characters, probably newer characters. But I'm dying for any information, like how is the combat system? How is the weapon system? How does this open world work with the storyline?
Yeah, that is really interesting. It's funny because before we did this episode, I was looking up just kind of some games that weren't shown there. There's actually a huge list of games that are in the works right now. There have been being developed for years that weren't shown, and obviously there's some there that were said that they wouldn't be shown, like Death Stranding. But yeah, it's really crazy how many games could have been shown off that weren't, and that is one that was off my radar. I forgot they were making that, and they've been working on it for a while now. That would have been really cool to see, sure.
Because they showed off the Fire Emblem Warriors game, but there was nothing else.
Who do you think's conference would have shown that if they would have?
I'd imagine it'd have been on Sony's.
Probably Sony, yeah. Yeah, that is kind of a letdown. I didn't think about that one. Yeah.
I really want to see what they did with it. Because the graphics in the games just obviously get better and better. The combat mechanics are virtually the same for all of them. Sometimes there's little variations here and there in some of the games. And then the weapon systems are changed randomly here and there. But I don't know. I'm really curious as to what they're doing with this open world concept.
Yeah, it's kind of gone silent for a little bit. I remember months ago we were looking at videos, Japanese videos of the game. And other than that, we haven't really seen much on it. So it's been kind of cool to see. Plus, they are doing the open world thing, which is brand new for them. So that's something I've been super curious about. That's really weird that wasn't shown at all.
Yeah, what the hell, Koei Tecmo?
God damn it. They're making so many fucking games now. They probably forgot they're working on it. Yeah, it's a good one. I'm going to throw this one out there. It's going to be real quick. So we've already talked about it ad nauseum. But Skyrim. There's way too much Skyrim. Don't want to go into it too much. I could say all day that it's a 6-year-old game that they're milking, blah, 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 blah. But it's just really weird to me that 3 different conferences brought Skyrim up. Constantly. And it was just I'm not even trying to bash the game or say if you're into it, fuck you or anything like that. But it was just wow, really? Well, it would have been cool. Bethesda's that other game in the works. I forgot the name of it, but it would have been cool to even hear something about that. I feel like they got something in the works. It's really surprising that we're still talking about Skyrim, even more than Fallout 4, which is the newer game.
Yeah.
Which was just, I don't know, it's just fatiguing.
No, I completely agree with you on that. And like you said, if you're still playing the game, you still enjoy it, awesome. But we all know it exists, and for them to showcase it as much as they did, I feel like they could have just done it during their conference and been done with it,
When I get the Switch, because they had to show it off, it's coming out for that, whatever, but it's just so, I mean, I feel like the game was shown more than almost any other game aside from Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, which was all over the place as well.
Yeah.
The market's absolutely saturated with Skyrim stuff these days.
It's insane.
Yeah, maybe they're going for that Minecraft saturation.
All encompassing.
So Minecraft's actually still evolving. Skyrim's been done. It was finished six years ago. So yeah, enough bashing Skyrim. If you're into it, enjoy it. It's coming out for Switch. If you have one, that's going to be awesome for you. And I am curious about the VR Skyrim. But yeah, I'm just a little. You know what? I'm not even going to say I'm tired of Skyrim. I just want to see Bethesda do something new. It'd be cool. It'd be exciting.
Sure.
So hopefully next E3 we'll get something from them that'll get everybody excited again.
So I mean, the big like shining one for me is the Final Fantasy VII remake. They showed off screenshots recently, and in that interview, they even had said that he wanted to show video, but the dev team wasn't comfortable with it yet. I would imagine they would have been able to have some sort of video or update of some sort. I'm not expecting them to be like, oh, here's the release date and here's what's caused and here's all this stuff, but like just something. I just feel like they're being really quiet about it, and I don't know why.
Yeah, there's a couple of games that weren't shown, but they had some things going on in the background that kind of suggest why, they might not have shown them. Whereas this, like, I don't know why it wasn't shown. That would have been, like, I said in prior episodes that that there was a lot of stuff that was shown at the last E3 that was shown again. But I feel like that teaser of Final Fantasy VII Remake last year, if they showed off the actual gameplay, it would be just like, a brand new game being announced again. That excitement would have been there. It would have been the killer fucking game of the show, for sure. So, which it did suck because that's something I just want to see more. Anything on that game, even the pictures. I'm just like, ugh.
Yep. The only thing I can think of is because the transition of them moving it from an outside company to in-house.
Yeah,
might have stopped them from doing something with it, but
they didn't have time to make a trailer or teaser.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems weird that they didn't like even talk about it. I didn't even not even necessarily in the regards of even like showing anything off, but at least like coming up on stage and like talking about it or something. Mm-hmm. It's weird.
Thoughts? Anything? You agree?
Yeah, pretty much. I wish they would have shown at least something, even just screenshots of like stuff they're working on. I'd love to see that.
Even come out and be like, "Hey, it's coming. Everything's going great."
I think everybody would have loved is to see Cloud in drag. I think just a screenshot of him, high quality version of him in drag would just gotten everybody pumped.
Actually, yeah. At first I was like, what? And I was like, oh yeah.
That's such a talked about moment of all of Final Fantasy in general. 7 is talked about, but like I think that one gets a lot of hype just because of how absurd it is.
Yeah. No, it seems really
And I really hope they keep that in there.
Oh yeah, no, me too. There's a lot of stuff I'm really hoping they keep.
Every little fine detail of that quest line where you have to like go to the Honeybee Inn and it's like basically a brothel, but like if you have to certain rooms to get certain items, I just hope they keep every little aspect of it in there, just to show like Cloud wedged between all the sumos in the hot tub.
Yeah.
I would have died.
And fucking in just like the better graphics, just looking fucking amazing.
Yeah.
All right, another one on my list of things that were a disappointment. Not necessarily something that wasn't missing from the show or oversaturated, but something I was worried about that was confirmed, and that's Assassin's Creed Origins. Prior to them taking the break, I, like most people, were kind of getting a little tired of the Assassin's Creed franchise, and that's fine. And they were responsible. They took their break or whatever. I thought it was a great idea, and I was like, hopefully this really fucking pays off. They took a year off. It's a good chunk of time. It's not a super long amount of time, but once it was kind of leaked, this was going to be shown. I still remained optimistic, but then they showed the game off, and instantly I was just like, oh no. It literally, it looks, you can't deviate too much. I'm not asking them to like fucking reinvent the wheel, but I just wanted something in that trailer that was like so different, so new and fresh, something that year-long break, some cool idea that they could go, you can now do this. Or there's something that's just really fucking cool that I saw and be like, wow, that's awesome. That's all. It's just one thing. And the whole thing just seemed, like a really good looking, brand new Assassin's Creed. So I haven't played it, obviously, so I can't really say anything bad about it, but it was just disappointing. I was let down.
Yeah, there's no wow factor.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say, it could end up being a great game.
Mm-hmm.
But the presentation of it just wasn't even interesting, really. Like, other than like, you got the details of the setting and all that stuff, but like they showed off a little bit of gameplay and it just seems like it's the same exact game still, which is great for people who love the series. But, for the fatigue of having so many titles in the series at this point, it needs to evolve and not just like letting you have a drone. They need to bring something to the table to keep the tired players and even bring in new players to the series, I think.
Yeah, this game is, I mean, if you're like a diehard Assassin's Creed fan and you've enjoyed every single one of them and you didn't even care about that break, you just wanted another one, you're probably going to be right at home with this game for sure, and that's awesome. But I'm going to be really curious to see the sales numbers on this game as opposed to like, or compared to, some of their most sold games in the series. Because I feel like because it was kind of like lackluster feeling in its presentation, and like we've said, it could end up being amazing. If a review comes out and it's like 9.8, this is what it needed, I'll be like, cool. But from what they showed off, I'd be really surprised to see like a huge fucking surge of people buying this game. Like, I don't know. It just didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's basically just more cut and paste of the same gameplay from older games. I mean, with Assassin's Creed Black Flag, at least you had the ship combat, and you could build the villages and upgrade the ports and things like that in your little mansion, which I don't recall actually happening in any of the other Assassin's Creed. So it's a nice
Assassin's
little...
Creed have like one thing, and then the next ones don't have it. It's really weird.
Yeah, so that was a nice little thing that preoccupied me for a long time in Black Flag, was the ship sailing and the building the towns and hunting all the sea animals to get things going. And the pirate ship combat. And just all of that extra stuff on top of it really made that game shine for me. It just looks like this game's more of the older stuff, or just the same thing. Just exploring through towns and killing people and exploring through towns and killing people.
Yeah.
There's no diversity in it. So far.
Yeah, it's so crazy too, because like, what was the one that came out last?
Syndicate, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it was like fully single player. They're trying to focus on that, not worry about the multiplayer. And I heard it was pretty good, but I didn't hear anything amazing about it. And then with Unity, they were working towards the multiplayer. They had server issues, stuff like that, typical Ubisoft shit. But I actually liked Unity in the gameplay. The storyline I didn't care about that much. It was more of the same. But the amount of like weapons and shit and customization there was in that game, because it was multiplayer based, was really cool. Really good idea there. Black Flag was probably the biggest, most ambitious idea. I mean, they really deviated from the game so much that it almost felt like a different game. So yeah, they always have like one really good idea per game, but like for some reason a lot of those don't carry over. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. You could easily do that with this. Like, you could have like a caravan that you travel between locations and build up a shop or something like that.
Yeah.
This game just looks a lot. It reminds me of almost the first one again.
Yeah.
Almost just better looking, and with the drone from Ghost Recon Wildlands. Almost the exact same thing, except for they sewed on a fucking a bird's body onto it. Yeah. Anybody else got any others?
Yeah.
All right, do it.
I know they showed it off previous D3 at a concert event, but I was really surprised that it didn't have the Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer at E3. Unless they did during Square's live streams, I wasn't going to sit there through hours and hours of them.
That's such a weird thing that's been happening with E3s when they start doing like the pre-trailers like 2-3 days before E3 and they show it off early, because like unless they just don't have the time at E3 to show it off, that's the only way I could understand them doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just would have really liked, even if it would have been the same exact trailer, I just don't understand why it wasn't at E3, because not necessarily everyone is going to be like following, Kingdom Hearts, news and stuff like that. So, I mean, the only reason I knew the trailer was up is because it popped up on Twitter for me, versus like, there are people who sit and they watch E3, and it would have been just another avenue for you to advertise the game. I know they're going to do something at the Disney event later in the year, but
yeah.
I don't know. It was a weird decision in my opinion. So
Yeah, I don't feel like Square had a super strong presence at E3 this year, which is kind of disappointing because they have a lot of big stuff on the horizon. They're just kind of keeping it hush-hush at the moment, which is like, I guess it's kind of a tactic to keep people really thirsty for information, but at the same time, eventually you starve the masses of information, they're going to lose interest.
Yeah, definitely. And E3 is like the time to do something 'cause that's when most eyes are watching.
Yeah.
So, and it's just like Chevy said, they did show a trailer for Kingdom Hearts, but it's like beforehand, and like they didn't, like, they could have saved that for E3. But like I said, it might be because maybe, you know, the amount of time they have to present everything, they didn't have time to put it in there. But that sucks because that's a bigger game than some of the games shown. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting. But that is something that drives me nuts about games in general when they show the trailers early. It's like, just wait. Like, fucking,
Yeah.
you don't have to be like, oh god, we gotta get it out there now, because like the whole event is fun to kind of just get it all at once and have that, you know.
I mean, hell, we did essentially a week's worth of E3. You know, obviously the event wasn't a week long, but like getting through all the trailers and stuff like that, and like obviously for the show it took a little longer too. But I mean, it's no different than binge watching a TV show for me. Like, I get to sit there and just binge watch these conferences. So
Yeah.
I don't know. A weird decision.
Yeah, it was definitely weird. What do you got?
So this is just a personal gripe, but I was kind of disappointed by Days Gone, the zombie game that's coming out. From the tech demo they showed us, I was kind of expecting more of like a survival-esque game, kind of like Rust-ish. Not necessarily like a really strong story-based driven game of like, you know, hubs and going out from these hubs and saving people. And I'm assuming you're just kind of traveling from hub to hub doing these quest storyline things. I was really, really hoping for more of an open world concept to it, which it doesn't seem like too strong. It seems more of a linear gameplay. So I was really disappointed by that. Just a personal gripe.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't disappointed with it. We actually discussed this last week a little bit, but the tone did definitely feel different from the first time we saw like essentially the concept shown off with the mass amounts of zombies and the tension with that, and then this one kind of showed off, and it's good because if the game is like this, we need to know. But it showed a more singular narrative-driven story, which I like, but it tells me it's going more in the vein of like something like The Last of Us or an Uncharted or something that's going to be, you know, story-based, something like that, which is fine. It just felt, like I said, totally different. As for the open world, I'm not sure if it's going to be open world or not. I'm assuming it is, otherwise the levels are going to be fucking huge. But it would explain a lot if they did do a more like big open area versus open world in the game, because Uncharted did that and they did it really well. But yeah, I can't agree with the disappointment, but I can definitely say when I watched it, it felt different for sure.
Absolutely.
And I'm still trying to think about how I think of it. I don't know if that did, you know, more or less for me in terms of my excitement for the game.
Yeah, I don't think it really changed a whole lot for me as far as the game goes. I obviously, you know, I agree with the tone thing, but it wasn't really a game that I was going to be playing anyways.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a strong opinion one way or the other on it.
I'm still very much excited for it, but my interest in it has changed because before I didn't know what the game was going to be like. I just knew there's going to be a shitload of zombies and shooting and running. I was like, cool, I'm into that. And now I know that it's more of a, you know, like I said before, narrative, story-driven experience, which now I have to change my expectations to a different direction. So I get that for sure. Any more? I got some. Oh yeah. So I'm struggling. I'm struggling because fucking there's a game coming out for Xbox One. It's one of 3 coming out for it, and I keep telling myself it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun at the very least. It's not gonna be an amazing game, but it's gonna be fun. And I'm trying to get myself pumped for it. I'm gonna buy it. And I probably still will buy it, but at this point I'm like, eh. But they finally they showed a trailer again at E3, and not only did it not do enough for me, it actually made me less hyped for the game. That's Crackdown 3. I watched this trailer first off. I think I don't want to talk too much shit because like I don't want. I mean, this is kind of a more negative episode, but most things I'm like, well, maybe blah blah. This like literally the trailer was fucking bad.
Yeah.
Oh God, Terry Crews. Watching that trailer, I was like, you know what? I'm glad this guy gets paid to be ridiculous. It's awesome for him. He's having fun. That's cool. I like the dude. But that part didn't do anything for me. I was just watching him be a goofy or whatever. And then the trailer is just a bunch of people running and shooting, close-ups of the gun shooting, and then things blowing up to the song. And that did nothing for me because what I want from this game, I played Crackdown 2. I liked the first one. I don't like the second one because it was lazy. Watching this, I wanted to look at it and go, that's Crackdown, but new. What I saw in that trailer was that's Crackdown from years ago with a little better graphics, not even that much better, and still really stiff controls and movements and stuff. Like, I felt like they're amping up and hyping this game that shouldn't really be hyped this much. Like, as a person who's trying to like be like, oh, I'm gonna buy this, I want this, I'm gonna play it, it's gonna be fun. And I watch it, I'm like, yeah, do I think that? Do I really think that? Like, but I'm sure the game will be fun. I'm still telling myself that. But that trailer really kind of just kicked me in the fucking nuts.
Yeah, I played Crackdown 1. I really liked that game. I never played Crackdown 2, though.
It's a reskinned, worse-looking version of Crackdown.
That's what I've heard, though. It's not very good. And after playing the first one, I didn't really expect much from this one, so I can't say I'm super disappointed about this. And the fact that it's not an amazing game. I am disappointed at the same time that they didn't put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah.
Because literally you see a guy running while carrying a car, and it's like his torso moves independently from his legs. And it's very clunky and jittery. It's not something you would expect from just a standard game of this console or last console generation.
Yeah.
So it was really disappointing to see them not put a lot of hard work into this.
Well, especially because this game has been being worked on for a while now. I mean, they announced this a while back. There was a trailer like a couple of years ago that showed like buildings being destructible and stuff like that. It was CG, but I believe people were saying that this is supposed to be a key gameplay element, and the trailer didn't show really anything of that. It showed explosions, but it didn't show destruction. It was just fire and shit. I mean, it looked like a fucking Michael Bay movie, except for less flashy.
Yeah.
But when I say disappointment, it's not even like as a series. I'm like, I love Crackdown. It's a disappointment because the point of a trailer is to get you excited, make you curious, make you interested in something. And this did the opposite. It made me want to just turn around and walk away. I'm like, that's not for me. When I'm trying to like this, I'm trying to get stoked for this game. I wanna buy more Xbox One games.
It was a pretty bad trailer, and mostly just because. Like you said, like it was literally just following the person with a bunch of explosions. You can't see what's happening. You have no idea like gameplay elements other than explosions. It just didn't show anything, and then it was just a really crappy music video essentially.
Yeah. It's like they for some reason trust this brand so much that it doesn't need to be shown, and it's not the right game.
Or they don't trust it and they don't want to show it off too much.
Yeah, I just feel like it's like when Call of Duty's coming out, it just shows like quick flashes and trailer, people shooting and shit and explosions, and people are like, it's Call of Duty. This is exactly what I want. I'm going to buy it. But it's like Crackdown's been gone for a while. Crackdown 2 is not well received. Crackdown 1 is barely remembered. And now, Crackdown 3's coming out, and they're not even showing the fucking game. They're just like, are you fucking ready for Crackdown 3? And it's like, I fucking barely even remember Crackdown, motherfuckers.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say that I'm disappointed because I wasn't looking forward to begin with.
Yeah.
But I will agree that the trailer was a mess.
Garbage.
So.
It was bad. It was not a good trailer. Anybody got anything else? Do it.
I love the Sony conference overall, especially the just getting to the point and just shotgunning the trailers at us. I do enjoy the talking aspects as well. But
Sony's really good about that.
But yeah, I you're there to see what's coming out. So short and sweet on the talking, right to the gameplay stuff. However, as we discussed on the Tasty Cast, there wasn't really. It was a good conference, but there wasn't like anything that was like crazy awesome, and it just felt like there was a severe lack of like a new IP being like announced. So that was disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, overall aside from Ubisoft did a really good job on just showing a huge, diverse, and new, frontier of games. Yeah. But yeah, Sony, when we talked about it, and again, go back and watch that, we overall were really into it, of course. But But I feel like for the first time in a long time, Sony played it really safe, which
Yeah.
is fine. That's good. They showed off a bunch of shit I want to play. Almost
Oh,
everything
yeah.
there I want to fucking play. I'm going to buy a lot of that stuff. God of War looks fucking awesome. Bunch of stuff. But there wasn't like the big like fucking grabby game. They didn't really have any. They just had the ones that we already know we want to play, and we saw more of them. Like, that's awesome. But like, and kind of like we've already said too, there's some games that just weren't shown off. There's quite a few of them actually. I feel like that kind of overall across E3 kind of softened it up a bit, and Sony definitely just kind of showed a lot of stuff that we had already seen. So
Yeah, it was rather disappointing. In fact, a segue into one of my disappointments was specifically in the Sony one was the VR games. There was nothing there.
there's like 3 of them. Yeah.
They showed off like 4 or 5, but there was only one that I was like I think I'm gonna get that, and one that I was like, that could be cool.
Well, that Moss game looks.
That
cool.
was the one.
The Moss game looks neat, but it's nothing that's like mind grabbing at this point.
Yeah.
Puzzle games are pretty standard for VR, especially for like PlayStation VR, where it doesn't seem to have the capacity to run harder games.
Play Resident Evil 7.
It's true. It's an exception.
The game looks fucking awful though. VR. I actually play it out of VR, not because I'm scared, even though I am a little bit. Just because the game is a really good looking fucking game, and the VR, even though I get why it has to look lesser, it looks. I just prefer to see it in its full glory.
Yeah, but I was definitely disappointed by just the games they have coming out for VR. I mean, they could have. There's so many things they could probably done better. Just the options that they give us are not. They're just like little like tidbit games. Like, here's this and here's this.
Although
sate you.
To counter that, and I agree, I don't think they really showed off anything that's like the killer fucking app for VR. But I am glad they were able to show off VR, because that just tells me we're supporting it. And obviously, it's a smaller niche market than the rest of what Sony's going to show off, so they had to have a smaller area to be showing those off, because those trailers are kind of short too. But yeah, I agree. Like, there's nothing. I can't think of one VR game I was like, fuck, I got to get that. Like I said, Moss looked cool. It piqued my interest, but it wasn't anything to freak out about, for sure.
This probably wouldn't even pique a lot of other people's interest because it wouldn't be much gameplay, but to advertise for Final Fantasy VII, you could have a VR game where you're sitting in 7th Heaven, you choosing interactions between characters that are there. And that would get you hype and advertising for Final Fantasy VII, because you'd put it in the same engine that you're making the game into and give you the character model so you can have a sneak peek at it. But that's so.
They're spending all the resources making 15 mini games.
It would be fucking cool if they did like a Golden Saucer VR game where you got to go around the.
Play all the little mini games.
Yeah, it'd be cool if it connected with maybe Final Fantasy VII as well. Yeah. So whatever you do, the longer you're sitting there, gambling, whatever, you can use your money from 7.
I would also take. This is turning into a different topic now, but I would also take Triple Triad.
Triple Triad, yeah.
Just the card game in VR.
It'd be cool if they start doing card games like that in VR.
Yeah.
Chocobo racing in VR.
That'd be dope.
Those are all Gold Saucer things, though.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
What if you could breed them, ride them, fucking dye them?
All in VR.
pet them, feed them.
My virtual pet, my virtual Chocobo.
Swear we're giving you fucking ideas here.
Yeah. No, it'd be cool.
In our disappointment, find inspiration.
Yep.
That'd be cool. That'd be the killer app. That'd probably be one of the better games of Sony's conference if they showed something like that off.
Yeah. It would be an instant sell for a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
That'd be cool.
Especially if you earn like in-game items for it for 7. Like nothing like crazy. Like, like cosmetics or, gil that could transfer over and things like that. Since gil is usually easy to get in Final Fantasy VII.
It'd be cool too if they had like cameos too of people from the game like walking around in there while you're sitting there playing whatever the fuck you're doing.
I'll say it can literally just be a standalone game. It doesn't have to be attached to 7. It could just be a
true.
Gold Saucer. Like you said, they could slowly just throw in Final Fantasy characters from every Final Fantasy
Because it'd be kind of cool to see them in VR.
hanging out in the
real.
saucer,
Yeah.
even like if you're doing Choco races, if they decided to not make a multiplayer for some reason, the bots could be Final Fantasy characters and shit like that. So, or the people you play Triple Triad against, et cetera, et cetera. So.
I'm just gonna rename this loot chest. Fucking make this game. I'm gonna clip out the rest of it, all the negative shit, and just have this segment. I'm gonna fucking send it on Twitter to Square. Be like, do it. I got money waiting.
I have another game.
Okay.
Thing that wasn't there that I was kind of hoping would have some sort of news on. I'm not even sure if it's really a thing yet, but there was no news on Bloodborne 2 because I know that people are talking about it being made possibly at the
that
moment.
was a huge rumor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's the really interesting thing, though. Is that was such a big rumor, and I didn't even know where the fuck it came from.
either.
Like prior to E3, I wasn't hearing shit about it,
Mhm.
and then right before E3, fucking all of a sudden people were like, "Bloodborne 2 is gonna be fucking announced, dude. It has to be." I'm just like, why? Where are you getting that from? And then it wasn't shown. And I was like, that sucks. Like,
I
why
think
is
people
everybody
are
making
having
that up?
a hard time believing that they're done with the Souls games.
I don't think they're done with Bloodborne though.
I think they're done, with Dark Souls. From my understanding, they're supposed to be making a Bloodborne 2. I can't give you exact information where I get this data, but in my mind, it's like a concrete
I just thought
thing
it up.
right? No. Yeah, because I can't remember where I got the information from, but I've heard.
I saw it in the Bloodborne subreddit. I saw it in the Dark Souls subreddit. I've seen it, on Twitter and shit.
And on top of that, and we talked about this weeks ago, but and I have no reason to even speculate this is even being made, even though they did say they're looking to work on it again. But I would have loved to see an Armored Core or anything from
Aren't they
fucking.
supposed to be working on one?
That's
yeah,
the
that
next game,
sucks, yeah.
supposedly.
So yeah.
Which would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, Armored Core wasn't there. That's kind of disappointing.
But just from software in general, I mean, they must be working on something. Not trying to be negative about it.
Right.
They must be working on something, so they're busy. Early concept, early development makes sense. But would have been cool to see anything or hear anything from them.
Yeah, disappointment's more of like I'm not mad at them. I'm just like, that sucks.
You motherfuckers!
Screw you!
Where's that goddamn fucking rumored game that I don't know if it's actually made or not?
Right?
My speculation needs to be fucking
Confirm the
manifested.
fallacies in my mind, please.
For my last one, I'm going to shotgun through a couple games that I wish were shown there.
Okay.
Do you have one still?
Yeah, but it's probably on your list, so go ahead.
Okay. And a couple of these I already knew weren't going to be there, but I wish they would have been. Death Stranding, Last of Us 2, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Dreams.
Oh yeah.
The reason I bring up Dreams is because it was shown at last E3. And it was a
One
really,
before it, I think.
yeah, it was a really cool concept. Media Molecule's working on it, and I haven't heard anything about it in a while. So this isn't like a goddamn they didn't show it, but I'm just like, what's going on with it?
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything for a while. It's for anyone who doesn't know, it's like this game where you're able to create dreamscapes in this weird kind of like painting, 3D painting looking way, and you're able to kind of flow through different people's creations and way dreams kind of mold together and stuff like that. It's a really cool artistic idea, and I would just like to see more on it and how that's going to work. Obviously, I'd like to see Last of Us 2 like everybody else. Death Stranding, I just want to see anything on it. I just want to know if it's real. Like fucking, is it a puzzle game? Is it an action game? Is it goddamn?
We've seen pictures of Norman Reedus in the gear with Kojima next to him, and apparently Kojima really likes to mess with him.
That makes sense. That sounds like Kojima. And Red Dead, I get it because they're what did they just do with Red Dead?
They pushed it back, but they didn't push back
Yeah.
a crazy amount. It was like a couple months.
Yeah, and the pushback shouldn't have really affected it too much. So I was actually really surprised we didn't see anything on it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the pictures that have been shown, the game seems pretty realized, even within those areas, maybe, if those are completed. So I'm surprised they didn't do like a 30-second teaser of just locations. Like Rockstar had like no presence.
Yeah, and then with the Last of Us 2, and Neil Druckmann said why it wasn't there, which I can appreciate and respect. It just
definitely
obviously
respect
was a disappointment
Yeah.
to not see it there because, I mean, let's be real, I think we all want to see that game. So
No, definitely. And Naughty Dog, both teams in Naughty Dog, they're all on the same team. They want both games to do well or whatever. And if they were both shown off, the new Uncharted game and Last of Us would be the one that'd be getting all the fucking hype.
Yeah.
So that could potentially weaken it. Even though I don't think it'd be too bad, it was smart of them to emphasize that there's an Uncharted game that's more developed coming out sooner. Because some people might not even know. They be like, oh, Uncharted's over. It's not. So yeah, I get it. It just sucks.
Yeah.
I just want to see it.
Yeah, That's pretty much it.
You don't have...
It was Death Stranding and Last of Us 2. Those were the other ones on my list.
Nailed it. One thing though, if this episode seemed a little almost negative, it's more so just our just discussing what we would have liked to have seen. Obviously, there's reasons we didn't see them. The thing that I'm taking away from this E3 though is I think next E3 is going to be fucking insane. I think a lot of the people who didn't show up in this E3 will be there at the next one because they were gone because they were developing and working on things that are going to be ready to be shown. And I think the next one is going to be the big one where we'll be like, holy fuck, there's too much going on.
I think a huge part of it too is a lot of the huge titles released at the beginning of this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was a nuts.
It's a weird
beginning.
timing for sure.
Yeah, the timing seems weird because obviously stuff's going to come out for the holiday season as well. And a lot of stuff that they kind of showed up at E3 was 2018 release dates and stuff too.
Some
so
2019, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it might just be a weird like lull. The timing of E3 this year.
I think it has a good point though. I think it is a mix between the things that were just released. If those were delayed a little bit, they would have been shown off because there's a lot of big IPs that came out, big titles that came out already.
Yeah, the beginning of the year started swinging. So
yeah, no, this year's been crazy. It's finally dying down a little bit, which is nice. But yeah, and then with all the stuff that I think there's a lot of people who are like freshly developing things as of the last year or two also. So we just have to wait on it to get that fucking E3. It's gonna be crazy, but it was a good one all across the board.
well, we still have
TGS.
Well, I was gonna say GDC is more of a global one. TGS is all Japanese stuff, and then
Maybe we'll see dinosaurs in that.
And then there's also PlayStation Experience for Sony's specific stuff. So, I mean, we still have other conferences. So some of these people could have been just holding back for a different conference. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll see like Final Fantasy 7, for example, at PlayStation Experience instead of...
When is that again?
I think it's towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
You guys chomping at the bit.
So there's just so many conferences now. It seems like they have to kind of hold some stuff back. So they have stuff for all the conferences,
Yeah.
So maybe that's part of it too.
Yep. But yeah, let us know in the comments. What were some things that you were hoping to see at E3 that you didn't get to see? What were some things you saw at E3 that weren't as good as you could have hoped for, or just were fucking plain awful things that you're just like, I don't like Just Dance 2018 because that dance was awful. Who the fuck did they hire to do that? Nobody's. That's who. That's gonna do it for this episode of Loot Chest on Tasty Loot Gaming. You got something?
PlayStation Experience is in December.
Oh, wow. So we got a little bit. That is at the end of the fucking year. That's going to do it for this episode. Make sure to like, subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on Tumblr and Twitter, Tasty Gaming. Check out the streams on the channel. If you missed them, they're uploaded, so you can come back and watch them. Check them out on Twitch, Tasty_Fruit. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And I'm Kris.
Until next episode, which will be next Tuesday for Taste Tuesday. Doing it all over again. Have a good weekend, and take it easy, guys.
Coming out next year, Skyrim Pachinko.
That's not too far-fetched.